Hello and welcome. This
Hello.
is the final episode of the season. It's very delayed. We've been wrapped up in a whole bunch of things this year and I've started the journey. So, spoiler alert, we're recording this in Italy. That will give you an idea of how everything is going so far.
It's also actually, today has been a year since we left for this journey, since we moved onto the boat, put all of our stuff on it, and we left to go from Inverkip to Millport. It was a little sail. It was a crazy little start to the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like the craziest thing in the world we were doing. And now we're already a year on, so can't believe it.
Yep. We tallied up and it's to now, it's just under 3,000 nautical miles that we've sailed.
It was about 2,400 just last year.
I don't have to I can just pull up the...
Sean's made an Excel document, of course. But it was actually quite helpful just to be able to track our engine usage and how many miles did we do?
So it was 2,278 nautical miles as the full year.
In a year?
In a year. It was 402 roundabout hours of sailing and 313 hours of motoring. 3/4 of the time we spent motoring or motor sailing or with the engine on. Editor Sean here. I meant to finish this point by saying the goal for 2025 was to motor less. I didn't end up saying that point, but I'm saying it now. So there you go. Spoiler alert, we are doing better. So we have some talking points, seeing as it's been a full year since we've sailed.
Yeah, we thought we'd discuss some stuff we've learned and just like reflections on how the year went and what we've been trying to do differently this year so far.
Yep.
Our first point, and possibly one we learned the quickest, was that everything breaks. We did expect this to some degree. Everyone says it about owning a boat. However, yeah, from before we even left, there was a broken water filter, a broken water strainer cap, a broken water pump, and then just a water pump that never worked.
Yep.
The batteries, like the whole battery system broke, which did give us the opportunity to rehaul it and do the lithium that we wanted to do. And then 3 days into the journey, after we left, we reached Northern Ireland and we had a major engine breakdown. So, yeah, that one was difficult.
That was all in the first video as well, if you remember. You can throw back all the way back to then. Yeah. First episode.
Here's the link here.
No. It's just everything that could break, broke. We assume it was because the boat froze over winter. We assume it was because one of the previous owners didn't put coolant in the engine. Instead, they put water, so it rusted. These are all things that would be picked up on if the boat was used considerably. I don't think this boat has been used all that much. I think we've used it the most, considering when we bought it, I think it had 400 hours on the engine, maybe less.
No, I think it was.
And then the log on the boat, which, grain of salt, because the thing about logs is if your log's not in or if your log stop working, our log keeps on not working, so I have to take it out every now and then and clean it up, and it's really annoying. But it says that we have like less than 10,000 miles, definitely. I'm not entirely sure what the exact number is. I will put it somewhere on the screen and you'll see what the mileage of the boat is at the current moment. But grain of salt, because obviously sometimes the log just doesn't work.
We ripped a sail, had to get that repaired. There still are, touch wood, a lot of things that haven't broken, and we've been lucky with quite a few things. Our steering's been fine. Our autopilot switches off.
Sometimes
for no apparent reason, but it does work most of the time.
There'll be occasions where your sail starts flapping. You're like, what? I'm so
And you
confused.
look
And you press the autopilot button because you haven't looked properly, and then it actually says standby. It's like, oh, okay,
Like,
it's just off.
Land wasn't there a minute ago. Why are we facing land now? But yeah, stuff like that. We had a drippy tap. Sean's worked on the toilet.
Yeah, gonna have to do that again. Grim.
But yeah, basically, everything breaks. One of Sean's favourite acronyms.
It's a definition of boat. Bring out another 1,000. Yeah, it is what it is.
I guess one thing that we have had to learn to do while everything breaks is just to kind of improvise, like the engine had the major breakdown and we just sort of thought, okay, what are we going to do now? And you have to decision make on the spot. We went and stayed with Sean's family in Europe for a little while, but you do just have to be like, okay, well, it has broken. What can we do about it? Instead of endlessly being grumpy about it. Of course, we are still grumpy about it a lot, but you can only fix it or work with what you've got. But yeah, everything breaks.
That leads us to point 2, which is your plan won't always go to plan. The purest example of this was engine braking. We had the intention of trying to cross the Bay of Biscay in late July, early August. That didn't happen because of the engine braking. We delayed that, and then we were in a mad rush to get down. We didn't cross the Bay of Biscay like you usually would by going from the UK or from Brest to A Coruña. We went from Penzance just across the Brest, and then from Brest all the way along the French coast to La Rochelle, and then from La Rochelle to Bilbao.
Which was great.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like, great sailing. The weather was always pretty good, even though it was September. And then when we did the northern Spanish coast, it was actually October. The weather was still good, and it wasn't too busy actually, because it wasn't July, August, and we spent July and August in the UK. Would it have been nicer to get down earlier? Yes, it would have, because we potentially could have even gone further, or alternatively just spent more time enjoying where we were. But at the same time, if we hadn't had the breakdown, we wouldn't have met very good friends of ours now, Andy and Yelena. They're sailing on a boat. We've mentioned them quite a lot as our neighbours or whatever, but they sail on a boat called Helikai, and we met them in Padstow. They actually had a similar thing happen to them. I think it was their bow thruster and their propeller gave up. They bought the boat same-ish time. They bought theirs in Largs, we bought ours in Port Bannatyne. So yeah, we just chanced into each other because we were coming into the marina, or coming into the port that they were going to leave, and the harbour master said to them, "It's pretty wavy out there." It was, in fairness, pretty wavy out there. So we came in, and then we just rafted up next to them, and then
Got chatting.
yeah, got chatting. We took the main down, and he saw this and thought it was black magic. Andy saw this and thought it was black magic that I was able to do this so quickly. And yeah, because it had ripped, so we just sent it to the sailmaker. It was really cheap as well.
Would
Something
definitely recommend him. Yeah.
Yeah, the sailmaker in Padstow. I don't specifically remember. It might pop up.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, put it in the description or just on the screen. The name of the sailmaker. He was really good. But yeah, I think no matter what you do, you'll just most likely have a good time unless something breaks. But you you just have to kind of just embrace what's happening, and just we're very, very lucky to be able to do this and to get bogged down by frustrations. I say this now in hindsight, but obviously in the moment you get frustrated. I'm trying to get better. We're trying to get better at just kind of taking the punches as they come.
Yeah, another one kind of quite related to that is just kind of forgetting your timeline. We had this idea that we were going to leave late July, cross Biscay by August, get to the Med and things like that as soon as we could. And obviously, just because of what Sean's been saying, none of that worked out in the way it did. But again, we've been learning to embrace that. Like, don't work to quite such a strict timeline. I think, obviously, there are timelines you can never avoid completely. There are important birthdays back at home, and there are wintering dates. You need to get to a place by winter and things. But yeah, basically, just forgetting the pressure to do it exactly right and to be in a specific place for a specific time. If there's no good reason to do it, just go with the flow. Yeah.
The next point is that we're still learning how to do all this, even though it's been a year and a bit of just, I've been sailing since I was 6, but that doesn't mean that I know everything. I know very little, and
I know even much less.
and in practice, things work out differently to how they would usually. Like coming into marinas mid-mooring for the first time, all that. It's intimidating, and you never learn enough, and you always feel like you're unprepared. We're just embracing the fact that we're just constantly learning new things and constantly figuring out how to do things.
It does like get easier, that we've definitely found over the year.
Yeah.
Stuff like our passages we now are pretty comfortable with. The nights, they're not fun, but we're comfy with them. The day-to-day sailing, definitely. The mooring, again, always intimidating, but we've done it all. Well, we've done a lot of it before and things, so you're not prepared for every single situation that comes up, but you're prepared a lot better in how to be prepared because you've had to deal with X, Y, Z, A, B, C, all these different situations, and it just means that you know how to deal with it when the next thing arises. You're much better equipped at just thinking, what do we need to do? How do we do it? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
A slightly related, quite unrelated one, probably quite personal to us, is that the EU Schengen rules, they really suck. We both have British passports, and obviously Brexit means that we can't stay in the EU for too long. It means that we can only, like any other kind of foreign non-EU national, we can only spend 90 days out of a 180 rolling day period within the EU on the boat.
Last year, it didn't matter all that much. It would have mattered if we had gone across earlier, but in the end we didn't. So the time didn't really matter all that much. It didn't really come into play. This year,
It's difficult.
We have had quite a lot of time off the boat, which you'll see in the videos. I'm trying to not spoil it as much as possible. Obviously, we're already not halfway through the season, but we're already a chunk of the way through. But yeah, the Schengen shuffle is quite. It is challenging to say the least.
And I feel like it means you don't
Get to
get to
explore.
spend
No.
quite as much time as you want in
Yeah.
these beautiful places, and you don't get to explore, and you can't just spend like find the perfect anchorage and just spend a few days there and sit down and be like, okay, let's enjoy it for a couple of days, let's do some life admin for a couple of days. It's always like, how long can we spend here? Where do we need to go next? When are we going to get out? Let's get the calculators out. Like, we've got apps.
Yeah, you
Sean's
got an app to tell you when you can and cannot be in the Schengen area.
So yeah.
It's a bit of a tricky one. And then our last point of reflection is, as I mentioned earlier, we are very, very lucky to be doing this, and very lucky to be in the position we are, to be exploring on the boat and everything. So it's just, every day is an absolute privilege. And it's a weird way to go about, exploring, is to just do it on a boat, So last year, before we actually went to the boat, we hinted that we wanted to cross the Atlantic this year. So 2025, we wanted to cross the Atlantic. That isn't happening anymore for obvious reasons, because with the Schengen issues, like, it would be brilliant if we could just come in, sail around, go Balearics, Sardinia, Italy, maybe Greece, and then back out again. But the way to do that, you'll spend your 90 days initially, and then you'll be like, oh, well, I can't get back out again because I don't have the 90 days to get out again. So we thought, rather than trying to do that, we'll split it up into two, do it in 2 years. So this year, the plan for this year is from Portimao, which is where we started, to go into the Med, then to Spain, do Spain, to the Balearics for a little bit, then stop my mom's 60th in June, and then, like, that's for about a week, and then from where we are there, Sardinia, maybe a little bit of Italy, maybe Sicily, and then around the corner, around the boot, and across to Albania. And then
Albania is a non-EU country.
Albania is a non-EU country, which is why I kind of were gunning for Albania. And then spend some time in Albania, and then winter the boat in Greece. That's the plan.
Might do Montenegro.
Might do Croatia.
Yeah. Could be Turkey. That's probably going to be next
Turkey's
year.
probably going to be next year, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Let's
let's not jump ahead too much. Yeah, and then it'll be next year will be the Atlantic crossing. So giving ourselves 2-ish seasons in the Med. So this is the end of season 1, this video. We are hoping, well, actually, I am hoping that I can try and stitch together the videos. We've recorded so much more this year than we did last year already. And I just need to sit down at some point and start stitching it all together.
We've just been enjoying it too much, honestly.
Yeah, we've been just relaxing, enjoying it. Every now and then I'll be like, oh, I should really edit some videos. And then 2 days later, I'm like, oh, I really forgot to do that. Recording this has been a long time in the making. We, in theory, should have done it before we started the year so that we didn't have 2025's experiences on 2024. But yeah.
Here we are. Embrace it, Don't worry too much about your timeline.
Anyway, so yeah, we hope you enjoyed this video, and it's a little bit of a departure to what we usually do. Usually it's just traveling, and now this is reflections. So yeah, we hope you enjoy. We hope you haven't been too bored by us just talking. But yeah, we hope you really, really enjoy the videos that are to come. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.